How's everybody doing tonight? Even though technically it is Sunday, but we are here for the sole purpose of bringing you the good, the bad, and the latest of what's going on in professional wrestling slash sports entertainment. We welcome you to another edition of Wrestling Weekend Recap. That is the official name of this spot where every end of the week we bring you what were the stories that were highlighted this week, what happened on Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and of course AEW. We just got done giving our live reactions of what took place hours ago with AEW Full Gear, one of the best damn pay per views that we just checked out. Something told us we had to see it, well, mostly for me, but my brother was begging on wanting to get the pay per view, so we did. It was just great action from beginning all the way to the end. We will get to that story a little bit later on. We are going to make this a short episode because with everything that we've endured today with me for work, then having to come back unexpected cooking grill on a crazy ass day with the temperatures going on despite COVID, then having to check out Full Gear. We are going to get to that. We're going to talk about that a little bit later here in this episode. But Jade, let's start addressing some of the stories that I think we should address. We are going to start off with the news about one of the female wrestlers. We're going to talk about Kylie Rae. I don't know if you heard the story, but when I found out this week that she is declaring herself not being a pro wrestler at this time because she's going through a tough time. There's really no specifics about what she's enduring right now in her life because she's keeping most of what she's going through private. She don't want nobody from outside of the internet world or even her fans, to get any notion of what's going on with her. It's like, okay, it's cool. Very respectful of that. So, as of, I believe, Wednesday when I got wind of the story, maybe a little bit earlier, when I found out, my heart kind of sank because I really wanted Kylie Rae to progress. We've seen her in action with AEW, seen some matches of her in Impact, and then all of a sudden it's like, no word of her. Her social media accounts are down, and she just left a message saying that, that she was declaring herself not being a wrestler anymore, that she was going to take some time for herself to deal with whatever she's got going on. She didn't address anything of any sort of whatever it is she's going on because it's all private for her. The last thing that she wanted is for anything to break out, for people to know, and then of course may get the bad rap or hearing fans and what their perspectives and opinions are, which I can understand, because I'm all about, giving, their space, because at the end of the day, besides them being performers and everything, they're human beings too. They got feelings. Whatever it is they're dealing with, you got to give them their space. When they're ready to come back, they're ready to come back, and they're gonna, come back to where they left off, or they're going to be 10 times better, or this is the end of the trip for them and they're moving on to other things. Whatever Kylie Rae decides, we want that for her. We want for her to get better. Whatever situation you're dealing with, Kylie Rae, wherever you are, from the bottom of our hearts, Kylie Rae, we're with you. We wish you the best in your future endeavors. Whatever it is you got going on, you got this. You've always been a figure of positivity. I mean, you always come out with that smile on your face. That's whenever I hear Kylie Rae, that's the image that I have in my head. But nonetheless, I know you got this. Whatever it is, we're with you. We hope to hear in the future from you, if possible. If not, we'll respect that. But I know one of these days we will hear from you. When that time comes, we'll welcome you back with open arms. Hopefully in wrestling we get to see you back in the squared circle. sometime soon. See?
Well, the first time we saw Kylie Ray was about a year ago when Kylie Ray was one of the latest uh, additions on the female roster of AEW. And yes, when she got in the ring, she's she was like she was a breath of a breath of fresh air, and she pretty much said this could be it for me. And she was like, well, and then when I found out that inexplicably she chose to leave AEW for unexpected reasons, it was like I was asking myself like what why would she do that? Like she's got a good thing going, but then all of a sudden it's like she went to Impact so because I thought most possibly she wanted to hone her craft. She feels she wasn't ready for the big time as a yeah, and that was understandable. And Kylie pretty much she pretty much wanted on her craft, and then all of a sudden she's got a change of heart and decided that's it. I don't want to. I don't want to wrestle, and yeah, we're also speculating this could be a temporary. She wants a temporary break from the scene, or I mean, this is temporary. I mean, we like to say we'll find out what happens. Hopefully, we see you later on. However, if this move is permanent, I also will not judge. I mean, not judge me. Everybody's got different reasons for doing what they're doing. It's just that whenever you say you're passionate about something, you always want to wrestle, but then all of a sudden you're getting signs when I'm saying that this is not for you. You're obviously going to go through a lot of road bumps in your life. It's like not to say that this happens just kind of. This could happen at any. This could just happen at anybody. You work so hard to be the best wrestler. You work so hard to be a good champion, but there comes a time like where you got other people say like promoters that say, "Oh, this is not for you. You should do something else or whatever." Like you get that kind of trouble, and nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear you say, "This is not for you." You should do something else. It's like, and the more you unimpress people, the more that feeling sinks in. But nonetheless, it's like we as human beings have to say, okay, we have to understand what the human being is going through. If like Kylie Ray or whoever else wants to pursue another endeavor, because he or she or they, I'm gonna say they, because regardless of who are they, because could be a team too. Regardless of who it is, if they want to leave the endeavor just because they feel it's not right for the endeavor, then then you could just say, okay, it's not right to quit, but it is your decision. If you chose to leave the endeavor just because you got multiple people on you, wrestlers, promoters saying you don't got what it takes, you can't do it. Eventually, you got no choice but to see the writing on the wall and cave in. But regardless of what happens, I thought she had potential. But regardless of that, I just want to say we wish you the very best, and 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 you hopefully come out on the other side.
So, getting into the story, this was written November 2nd, which was on Monday. This is from Pro Wrestling Unlimited, one of the sources that we follow. And it basically states she was addressing her future. 2 weeks before that, she was supposed to be in a match with Deonna Purrazzo for the Knockouts Championship at Bound for Glory. So she then showed up to the show. She was replaced in the match by Su Yung. So there was concern going forward, and Impact was going to work with her on whatever it is that was going on with her, or whatever she needed. But then it went to the point to where she took it to her page on Patreon, and she stated the following. So this was precisely on that day, I believe. It said, "Good morning. I'm truly sorry for the pain I've caused and miscommunication. I'm currently unwell. I apologize. I'm currently unwell. I'm also sorry that I wasn't able to get this out before your monthly subscription charge. I wanted to take this time to say I am no longer a professional wrestler and I'm currently taking a break from social media. It's been a very hard decision to make, but please understand. When I am well, I will try to fulfill any obligations that have missed. During this time, most tears will not be able to be fulfilled. Please feel free to unsubscribe from this membership/patron account. Thank you for your understanding. So that's what was announced for her account on Patreon, because she had followers there too. So having to hear all that, that just that had me wondering. And obviously she's going with, having to deal with something personal. So from here, the Ace from Armageddon brand, we just say, our thoughts and prayers are with you, Kylie Ray. Whatever it is you're going through, you got this. You got your time and space. There's no need, for to explain what it is you're going through. Us as human beings, we have to understand that you need your time and space. So be it. Hopefully we get to hear from you and see you soon. And bottom line is, you got this. Get at it. Next topic that we should talk about is supposedly this week's Raw, one of the hours suffered lowest ratings. And I mean, there were some good segments nonetheless. There were some good matches. I think they're starting to boost up a bit. I mean, it's our opinion nonetheless. Oh, we forgot to address that everything that we state right here, obviously it's our own opinions. It's not reflected by any other by the platform that we're on, nor the companies that we talk about, and all of that. And pretty much, there were things that we liked, there were things that we didn't like when we watched Raw. Once again, for the 7th time, Nia Jax already dropped Lana onto the announcement table. But I'm starting to think that where they're going with this, there's going to be a final straw. Hopefully there's a final straw, because otherwise this can't keep going for the rest of the entire time until the women's Survivor Series match, Raw versus SmackDown. Because you still have to have an incredible team, to work with against. Otherwise, then the whole concept of Survivor Series within the women's best teams is just a flop. And seeing Lana get pummeled doesn't really make a difference. I mean, she is starting to kick it up a notch, or at least, starting to get some sort of a chance or opportunity. But, putting her down or trying to crush her spirit down is not going to get it. It's not going to get them anywhere. Unless if you're trying to make her woman up to be a part of the team and get your head together, okay, well, then that would be a different story. So I guess right now with creative, it's kind of a split on where the direction for Lana is going here in this bit.
It's just that, again, there's for me personally, the issue with not within Raw, within the talent is pretty much the talent. Pretty much, I'm seeing some of the. Well, I don't know if this is realistic, but we're starting, because I'm starting to look at the talent acting more me, and not like what Michael Hayes said. Like they're it's like some of the talent they have that mentality of me, and not we. Because frankly, after what transpired for what will become the building of the Survivor Series women's match, I mean, everybody know that, oh yeah, Nia Jax doesn't like Lana and everything, and everybody expected Nia Jax to throw Lana onto a table again, but now is not the time. It's like you have to focus. Yeah, you got your team, you got the champion, you got the tag team champion, women's tag team champions, you got and Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, you got Mandy Rose.
Yeah, Mandy Rose and her tag team partner,
and
Dana Brooke.
and Lana. The goal right now is to put differences aside and say, what can we do for the what can we do for the brand, because that's your main goal. It's not about, oh yeah, I don't yeah, it's like, yeah, it's okay to dislike the person in any way, shape, or form, but now's not the time to show that. You gotta put differences aside for the sake of the brand. The more you expose that the feeling, your personal ego, you're not proving anything. You're just showing that, oh yeah, the focus is not so much on the show, the focus is on me. And I also want to point out that again, you're not giving the retribution concept is just through. Even though you gotta, retribution is one of those concepts where you can draw people in, make television. The goal is to make television, draw people in. But if they become small-minded and I look at the big picture and say, they say, you got this bunch of talent and you're using this bunch of them, you're not gonna get anywhere. And like I said, right now is vital, because Survivor Series is one of the most vital pay-per-views in the WWE. You got your teams, both male and female. You got your champions. But right now the focus is not the focus should not be about egos or anything. It's about coming together and say, what can we do to make this show? What can we do to make this show better? Because that's what it's all about at this moment. It's never about like, oh yeah, the focus should be on me or others. They say the focus should be us. Do what you can do to make the show better. Once Survivor Series is over, then you worry about your personal issues, likes, dislikes, whatever. But because if I was someone instead of being a comic, so I was a wrestler, I say, and I found somebody who doesn't, say there's someone that doesn't like me, and it's like, I said, look, the feeling's mutual. We don't like each other. But for once, let's just put differences aside and work together. If for one reason the creative staff were not thinking that clearly, and they just say, oh yeah, I like this person for whatever reason, you're not doing the fans a favor. There has to be a common ground for everybody to be reached. You can just say, okay, we don't like each other, but let's just put that aside for the sake of the show. Once Survivor Series is over, then we handle our personal business.
And I gotta say something there too, because not only that, but this is going to be the 30th anniversary of The Undertaker too. You got to give the man his due. Undertaker has been one of the best characters that the WWE's ever had, that has already transcended future generations and the generations to come, because they're going to wonder about, oh, if only we were around this time when The Undertaker was great. Doesn't matter what incarnation of Undertaker he has done. The man has evolutionized every step of the way, in every point in time where The Undertaker always feels that there is a time for him to re-embellish himself time and time again. So the 30th anniversary of Taker, and of course the farewell that they're going to have for him, it's going to be huge. It's going to be symbolic. That's another reason to watch Survivor Series, if not for anything else, then at least for the respect, paying homage to Mark Calaway for doing an excellent job in enticing The Undertaker to the point where we as fans, we're the ones gravitating to that character, and we want to see what the heck he does next. At least at the time where he goes out, performs, and wrestles against a certain person that he wants to put over or that he wants to bury or whatever the case is. But with Taker, it's always about helping others. Unless if others are, doing wrong to him, then, he always gives the receipt, the way it should be, because Undertaker has always been that measuring stick inside of that locker room. And they know where to fall in line when it comes to him. Don't never do The Undertaker wrong. That's from what I understood. So that's another reason why The Undertaker has been such a huge success in this business, and why, he's one of the best of all time, one of the favorites of all time in this business, and why he's so synonymous with Survivor Series ever since 1990. So back to the story with Raw and the lowest rating. It was the third hour that suffered the lowest rating because also there was a game in the NFL that dealt with the Giants and the Buccaneers. So obviously everybody tuned into that. No point in getting into the statistic numbers because our episode's going to be short. But we are going to talk about right away about the highlights on YouTube that's already been seeing more views, and we can get into the segments as well. The one segment that has to deal with Little Miss Bliss, we can't say the full name because we got the Amazon gadget here, unfortunately, since we're in a different location filming this. Little Miss Bliss pierces Nikki Cross with an icy stare. So it was that backstage segment where we see Little Miss Bliss with her back towards us, and Nikki Cross is trying to talk to her, and all she got was were those two different colored eyes, those contacts. I'm like, and then of course, from what we've seen with the angle with the Firefly Funhouse, which is rated number 3 in this one. Bray Wyatt and Little Miss Bliss reveal a twisted surprise in the Firefly Funhouse. Supposedly, whatever it is that she spewed out of her mouth, it looked like a freak. To me, it looked like a freaking fruit roll-up coming out of her mouth. Maybe melted or whatever. Supposedly that's a part of her gimmick. I really want to see, like I told you this before when we were watching this playback on Monday after it went on live. If only they would have some sort of a face that can match with Bray Wyatt, kind of like seeing Baraka and Melina, like in the Mortal Kombat story about them. Something similar with The Fiend and Little Miss Bliss. I think that would be an ultimate compliment to one another. While they got their actual faces to be seen on the Funhouse, there has to be something for Alexa Bliss for whenever The Fiend is in the ring or coming out, and Bliss is behind him, and you got to give her a face. You got to give her one of those wicked faces. The context is a step up, but it can't be all about that. I know that they got to have it a pinpoint where they got to do step by step to bring out that look for her, because there's got to be a look for her. The Harley Quinn, Freddy Krueger concept, whatever it is that's coming out of her, it's cool. It's something refreshing, but, hopefully we get a little faster, move the machine a little bit quicker to give her that wicked face, if you understand what I'm saying. Just to give those two the image that we're all dying to see. And number 4 on the highlights, Drew McIntyre facing Miz and Morrison in a handicap match. We knew that match was going to be a quick one because while Drew McIntyre was trying to do a promo, Miz and Morrison came out and egged on all over McIntyre and bragging, oh, yeah, I got the contract, I got the briefcase, I'm going to be the next champion, blah, blah, blah. And McIntyre wasn't going to hear of it. So, instead, I'll just come in, you two jackasses, I'll kick your asses. And Drew McIntyre won the match, of course. But we got to talk about this one, the number 2 video. Keith Lee versus Braun Strowman versus Sheamus. Now that match, my goodness. That match went all over the place. These guys were really taking to each other. And, of course, the winner of this match would advance to the Raw team part of Survivor Series. And, of course, the one who won that match was the monster, Braun Strowman. These guys were taking it all the way, to the barricade. Once again, Braun Strowman, the barricade knocked down with Sheamus and Keith Lee right through. There was definitely physicality in that match. There was something to gravitate, to have that attention where the viewer is like, something different for once. And you got big guys, these big guys finally in a match. Adding Sheamus into the mix, I think that was one of the best ideas. Whoever came up with that idea to add Sheamus into the mix, I think that was a really good idea. It really was. And, of course, the number 1 video that had the most highlights, Randy Orton tries to fight off Drew McIntyre Miz, and Morrison. So the one segment with Bliss and Cross that had over 413 based off of Monday. I know it's more recorded. The one with the handicap match, McIntyre, Miz, and Morrison, over 496. I know that's more now. The One House episode, over 570,000. I know that's a lot more now. Lee, Strowman, and Sheamus recorded 629,000 that Monday. And the number one video, Orton fighting off McIntyre, Miz, and Morrison, over 700,000 recorded on that day. So that's the recap for Raw. Now we can talk about SmackDown. There isn't a lot to talk about except for there's a strong build with Roman Reigns, and the rumors are supposedly the name of this new concept group, the Bloodline, unless they give it a different name, but supposedly it's rumored the Bloodline. Now, we're seeing how Jey Uso should be taking the role seriously with Roman now feeling that, he has the power to say, oh, when we get when we do an interview, when we go out and kick ass and take names, who is really ruling the roost here on SmackDown? Roman is just reminding him, say, hey, we're the ones on the top here. We have to stick to business. We're the ones showing everyone else who's boss here, who's ruling SmackDown right now. And of course, we're seeing the angle where Kevin Owens was trying to talk to Jay, and then of course Jay feels that Owens was sticking to him, like making jokes out of it. And then then of course that when that was heard by Paul Heyman takes it to Reigns, and all of a sudden it's a huge deal. It's like, I'm not gonna let them talk about our family. This is the Bloodline here. We have to show them that we mean business. So Kevin Owens has that match with Jey Uso. And once again, it's like I feel Jey Uso without a figure outside, especially Roman's figure that can give him the inspiration, that can give him the motivation to finish off that match and say, yeah, this needs to be done. Heyman wasn't enough out there. Heyman was out there, but it wasn't enough. Heyman's role is just being the consultant for the tribal chief. But when Roman's out there, there's a different change in Jey Uso. Just like how he had the match with Daniel Bryan the previous week. So, all that being said, it had to be done. Roman was out there surveying the scene. And damn it, finally Jey Uso got it done. And it needed to be done. Now the only thing I'm waiting for Christ's sake, Jimmy's got to come back for the Bloodline to be a solid trio, for there to be some sort of a message to be thrown out there so that the SmackDown locker room takes notice. It's like, hey, there's a force to be reckoned with here. Don't even get in our face. Otherwise, there's going to be consequences, like how Roman pointed out at one time for Jey Uso. But now with these guys in solid, now we got something concrete to work with here. And this is only going to step it up even more for viewers to be so solidly intact with wanting to watch SmackDown each week. Right now, what they got going on and brewing and stewing, cool. Just as long as they don't mess it up. And I think we're going to go solid full bore with this concept. And now with Seth Rollins, Murphy, and the Mysterio family, are we seeing what I told you, how we were predicting? Is all of this a work? Is all of this the fact that this could be Seth Rollins' plan from the get-go? How Murphy's already trying to get back in the good graces of Seth Rollins? Is all of this a tactic, having to manipulate Aaliyah to have that chess piece right on their side to be manipulated, and knowing that the Mysterios have seen this, Dominic and Rey, they know what they're capable of. Unfortunately, Aaliyah doesn't see it that way because supposedly she's in love, more like smitten with Murphy. because she developed feelings for this guy, you know. So there's another intriguing angle right here on the works. So they're going in the right direction as well. Hopefully they have something good to go from here. Nothing to screw up, because you got two interesting angles on SmackDown so far. Everything else is predicted, kind of small potatoes, and it's like nothing to gravitate towards too. So these are the two angles on SmackDown that are hot right now. With Raw, of course, what's going on with Orton, McIntyre, The Fiend, that's something interesting. Retribution. There is this this switch with Retribution that even from what I last saw, it's got me scratching my head. I'm like, okay, it seems like they're moving off of Hurt Business and Revolution. Hurt Business is on their own direction. Retribution's on their own direction. Now they were aiming for Ricochet, and they were aiming for Tucker. Here I first thought that maybe they might recruit Tucker, because he's the heavy-set power that maybe these guys might need. But it turns out they didn't go that way, and they were focusing on, getting at Ricochet. That's kind of, it's like we've seen that already once before, but now with groups, and now we're gonna have to see it from these guys unleashing on Ricochet. It's like iffy, but like there's barely sparking any interest there, So while you got Mustafa Ali, who there's a lot of people that are saying, "Oh, this is a whacked out group. This group with no future. This is gonna be shredded into the forgotten column." But there's others that say, "Okay, now Ali's got a very important role. He's the leader of Retribution." But the question that we have every single time that we see Mustafa Ali with Retribution, where is the direction of Retribution going? And it doesn't look like it's going in any positive direction. We thought that, while they were going with the Hurt Business, we thought it would be something, definitive. And I thought, okay, if Hurt Business wants to aim for gold, then maybe Retribution can come in and want to spoil it for them, try to ruin it for them. Here I thought that would be something to get back at the Hurt Business. But now having to, have one group go their way, the other group go another way, that just loses interest and eyeballs on all fronts, my opinion. And as I get into the story where it says, where Ali reveals why he gave the members of Retribution new and odd names. Because, like, we've seen the Smack, what was it, the Smack Talk or whatever it was? Talking Smack. And it had Mustafa Ali, and he explained a little bit, why these people have names and all that, and all that. But it's like, okay, you're explaining these ideals, but how about what you guys started out with from the beginning of time? Where's all of that going? So I'm going to get into the story pretty quick, but it basically states, with the core members of Retribution finally revealed, we were already learning about their new and odd names. No reason was given as to why T-Bar, Mace, Slapjack, and Reckoning were names given to the superstars that we know who they are. Mustafa Ali has revealed that there was a specific reason for this. So he posted a video on Twitter that talked about why different members of the group under him now have different names. So he stated that he was always just based on his name, and because his name was made fun of. Oh yeah, and on top of that, now it's a different pronunciation, because I'm talking smack. You can't say Mustafa Ali no more. Do you remember what his pronunciation was?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Can you say it?
Mustafa Ali.
Yeah, Mustafa Ali, I think. But I got Mustafa. So now the pronunciation of his name is different. And it has to be pronounced like that. Otherwise, then you're going to have a problem with him. So this is what he put on Twitter. He says, "I want you to imagine something. I want you to imagine being judged because of your name. I want you to imagine being mocked because of how you look. Now I want you to imagine a man named Mustafa Ali that have given names and master members of Retribution so they too can know how he feels. So they too can be judged because of their names. They too can be mocked because of how they look. They too can see the world the way he sees it. Imagine that." So they're trying to give the actual reasons, the looks, and the presentation to Retribution, and it's all explained by Mustafa Ali, and it's pretty much how they're overlooked, how they've been treated, how they've been wronged by the system, and now they're trying to get back at the system, which is WWE, the management office, and all of that. So, my opinion, now that you've explained yourselves, how about more action and less verbiage? Because it's like, yeah, creative is holding you back anyway, but in order for Retribution to be successful, you got to do some damage like how you did in the beginning. Enough of the talk. Start the walk already. Go get back on the walk, pretty much. So that's that for Retribution, and hopefully they can, out of the bunk talk, and just get back to the action. Let's jump to what's going on with the Wednesday Night Wars and how they did with NXT and AEW. But that I want to point out that, of course, I'm pretty sure that both of those shows suffered on viewership because everybody was in tune with what was happening with the elections, with who was going to win. There was no definite winner. It straddled on for days until finally on Saturday, we finally got to see who got elected for to be the next president of the United States, Joe Biden. Congratulations. We are going to see change. Finally. Trump, you had your run, but now no more. You're done bragging about the economy. You're done with all that. And I'm not even going to get into that because I hate talking about politics. Me and politics don't mesh at all. I don't want to talk about that. But still, the reason why NXT and AEW didn't got a lot of viewership the way they expected to, because they know that the election is the talk of the town, is the number one topic everywhere in the world. So that's the reason why NXT and AEW Dynamite got the viewership that it did. So we all know that. As we get into the story, and of course we will get in also to what were the top views for their show, for their segments. Another thing I want to point out while we're on the topic, they announced the video for Tuesday as far as AEW Games is concerned. So I read some columns, some stories on the internet where supposedly AEW fans, what they've been waiting for might come out, might be unleashed on Tuesday, an AEW video game. But we don't know yet if it's something on consoles like, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or the new consoles that are coming out this year, PS5 and the Xbox One X series or whatever, or if these are mobile games. Because supposedly, from what I read on the reports, they're doing these they're working on 3 types of games at once. Could be mobile, could be console, could be PC. Something in the works. There's like 3 games working at once. They're all in the works. Supposedly those are the latest rumors. But once we, if you guys want to check that out on Tuesday, hopefully we get those answers. Hopefully we get those questions answered and find out what is the future with AEW and video games. But because this is something that every wrestling fans have been wanting already after a year. This is something that they've been wanting to see, to have to play their favorite AEW wrestler, from a Jon Moxley to a Kenny Omega to the Bucks to Cody to Brian Lee to Darby Allin to anyone you can think of that is on the AEW roster from the beginning all the way up to this point. What are your opinions about on AEW possibly unleashing a video game already at this point in time?
Well, it has been since a year since AEW made their cable television debut with Dynamite. It's been one full year, and maybe say, and it's been, you know, a lot of fans are saying, you know, you're ready there. You're ready on a platform. That's grounds for a video game distributor to say now is the time for AEW to come out with the very first video game, because that's something like, well, so like I kind of wanted, and I'm pretty sure fans like yourselves have been watching, because this is the one thing that will define AEW. Finally, they have their very own video game. Could be for console, could be for mobile, could be for PC, but nonetheless, the countdown is on. Sometime next year, or maybe sometime later on this month, possibly, AEW will debut their very first video game.
So for all of this information and more to confirm if there is going to be an official AEW video game, mobile game, or whatever this project could be, that sounds really, really invigorating for this company. You can check out YouTube and already their established page, AEW Games. Subscribe to that, and that way you don't miss out on the information or the supposedly the press conference that will be released, or even the announcement, so to speak, because we don't even know how this is going to be brought out to the world this upcoming Tuesday. That way you can be in tune to the information that's going to be released about this upcoming project. So back to the Wednesday Night Wars. So it wasn't a bad night at all for Wednesday, because AEW drew 717,000 viewers actually. Sorry, and NXT did 610,000. So it wasn't bad. At least they had viewership if you were watching it live. But like me, I DVR those shows and I catch them right after they're already done airing live. So top 3 videos, highlights for AEW. Number 3 was MJF and Wardlow clash with the Inner Circle's Ortiz and Sammy Guevara. This report came out the 5th, and it recorded over 82,000 views. Pac breaks his silence, and let me now getting into the Pac, just, you know, a little bit of my opinion. Here I thought he was going to come out, you know, and speak his piece. He's only just showing how delusional he can be. How supposedly he's lost his mind, or he's everywhere, or there's something nutty about Pac seeing that trailer of his, and I get it, because he's in lockdown, he's in quarantine, or whatever the deal may be, but he's over where he's at. Not in the United States. I'm probably in England still, but it's got him driving up the wall. So if he does come back, he's going to be a whole lot different, and he's a different type of man, different type of animal, whatever the case may be with Pac. Now, after seeing, you know, what's been of Pac, it's going to be a whole other atmosphere when he does come back. When is he going to come back? That we don't know. I guess we're going to have to, you know, stay glued to the TV and see when the heck that happens. But yeah, Pac breaks his silence. That's number 2, over 121,000 views. And of course, the number 1 video, which is the segment that if only you were watching it with me, you would have seen how personal it got between Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. AEW World Champion Moxley and Eddie Kingston face off ahead of Full Gear, over 225,000 views. that to me was one of my favorite segments because it was just showing how emotional it was getting, how personal it was getting between Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley in that last promo before Full Gear. Top 3 NXT highlights. The match with Tommaso Ciampa and Velveteen Dream, that was a pretty good match. That recap had over 158,000 views. The second one was Candice LeRae cost Shotzi Blackheart a win and destroys her tank. If only you would have seen that one, man, that probably would have got to you. Over 190,000 views. And the number 1 video, which I don't like, but it happened. Pat McAfee retires the Undisputed Era. Over 211,000 views. So what happened was in that segment, since you didn't get to see or you're wondering about it, Pat McAfee and the rest of the so-called kings of NXT came out and they did a special tribute to the Undisputed Era. But at the very end, they dissed the Undisputed Era so ugly. They just trashed them really, really bad. And I'm like, the nerve of these sons of bitches. Like, really. But yeah, and I'm surprised that was the number 1 highlight video for that show. And yeah, that's the recap with the Wednesday Night Wars that took place this week. And now we're gonna talk about, let's see here. Well, while we were talking about The Undertaker, and I did tell you that Undertaker's contract with WWE is going to go for a very long time. It doesn't matter if he doesn't wrestle anymore. He could still be useful doing appearances on talk shows like how he showed on Jimmy Fallon. What was it, The Tonight Show?
Yes.
That shocked me because Undertaker that I recall has never been on a talk show or unless, like, I think when he was American Badass, he probably was on talk shows because at that time he was already talking too. So, but still, Undertaker as a dead man never made an appearance. Unless if somebody can tell me otherwise, then probably so, because there'd be at times where, like, I don't even get that type of news right away. But inside the story of the Final Farewell, we know that at Survivor Series, there's going to be a special Final Farewell for The Undertaker. So, of course, what they got going on right now on the network, they're doing all these different types of shows and segments in honor of The Undertaker. The 30 Days of the Dead Man. So when it comes to the Final Farewell for Survivor Series, that's going to take place on the 22nd of this month. They state that it's going to happen on the network, of course. Let me get into the story. So it says, one of the most iconic superstars in WWE history and a pop culture phenomenon, Undertaker made his WWE debut at Survivor Series on November 22nd of 1990. From his debut with Brother Love to his critically acclaimed match versus AJ Styles at this year's WrestleMania, Undertaker has participated in some of the greatest matches in history against Hall of Famers such as Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Mick Foley. Had multiple WWE Championship reigns and held an unmatched and astounding undefeated streak at WrestleMania that lasted 21 years. As part of Undertaker's Final Farewell and 30th anniversary, WWE is celebrating 30 years of the Dead Man throughout November, including recently debuted documentaries like Meeting the Undertaker and WWE Untold, Phenom and Legend Killer, which we already seen, on the network, as well as The Mortician, the story of Paul Bearer, that has already premiered. That is about to premiere already later on Sunday on the network, November 8th, and Brothers of Destruction, which already premiered in October at the Austin Film Festival and will be streaming on the network Sunday, November 15th. In addition, Undertaker will be a special guest on Steve Austin's Broken Skull Sessions immediately following after Survivor Series. Activation will also include special Undertaker photo galleries, video highlights, and features, of course, on the website of WWE.com. Undertaker TikTok challenge, Instagram filter, and Snapchat lens, 2 exclusive product opportunities with Funko, only available at Amazon. Feature space in 2,300 Walmarts, including an exclusive Mattel action figure, national media appearances, including The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, and blocks of primetime programming from WWE's distribution partners around the world dedicated to Undertaker. In addition to Undertaker's final farewell, WWE Survivor Series is the one night of the year where Raw squares off against SmackDown. Current matchups are highlighted by the Universal Champion Roman Reigns taking on WWE Champion Randy Orton, the Raw Women's Champion Asuka facing SmackDown Women's Champion Sasha Banks, Raw Tag Team Champions The New Day against SmackDown Tag Team Champions The Street Profits. But wait a minute, didn't we just seen titles switch hands?
Yes.
Exactly. So is this switch going to be updated? Only we will see for sure. United States Champion Bobby Lashley against Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn, as well as the 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination matches. So back to where I stated, where Undertaker's contract with WWE is going to go for long, many years to come. Because Undertaker, Mark Calloway, he's locked on solid with WWE. You know, he's going to get that money flowing in for him and his family. Appearances, products with his likeness, anything Undertaker that Mr. Calloway is involved with, that's a promising future for him while still under the WWE banner. So it's going to be interesting because, you know, like I said, in the very beginning, I remember in the very beginning, I was scared of Undertaker. And this was back in 1990 when we were just barely kids. I was 8, you were 7. What we were seeing before our very eyes is like, holy shit, who the hell is this guy? Undertaker. And when he defeated Hulk Hogan, that was telling me something, that things were changing. And me adapting to the change, it was something hard to do. But at the very end, of course, growing up and understanding the business a little bit more, it was all a part of the act. It was all a part of watching one hell of a show, where back then, you know, the show was something to follow, and always, you know, having nostalgia, remembering flashbacks of old, you know, when those times were great. And it's over 30 years, and Undertaker's still going strong, and that's something that'll never change. Undertaker will always be a part of us because, you know, we were part of watching on TV some of the best damn matches, or if we went to live events, seeing with our own eyes those best damn moments. For us, it was when we went to, back then when we went to SmackDown events, when WrestleMania 22 came into town. That's pretty much what we remember when we saw Undertaker, and at least we got to see Undertaker live. You know, that's something that I always take away from the chances that we had going to those SmackDown events back then, when the WWE was going through a change, and it was all about ruthless aggression at that time. So that's where we got to see the Undertaker, the return of the Phenom at that point. That was the chance that we got to see him for the first time ever on more than just one occasion, maybe at least 3 occasions, including WrestleMania 22. So those were the chances that we got seeing the Dead Man live, and, you know, seen in his best performance, either wrestling or cutting a promo. But it was mostly matches that we got to see from him, fights that he was a part of with different with different people that he was involved with. Okay, so we got the last 5 minutes, and we might as well address what we watched with AEW's Full Gear. As we said in our last live reaction, if you guys didn't get to watch it with us, it's unfortunate, but it will be uploaded on YouTube when it's ready. If you get a chance to see that, cool. But if you already seen the pay-per-view for yourselves, then you know exactly what we're talking about. Presentation, bottom line, it was awesome from beginning to end. The matches that I was interested in watching was, of course, the AEW World Champion Jon Moxley going against Eddie Kingston. Cody versus Darby Allin for the TV title. The finals with Omega and Hangman Adam Page. There was another match, but I forgot which one it was.
I don't know. We're talking about Elite Deletion.
Oh, yes. Of course, my mind should be deleted. The Elite Deletion between Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara. So let's talk about that, the Elite Deletion. And we're going to do a short recap talk. We were seeing elements of every object, every corner, nook and granny of what we already seen previously with Impact and WWE. Some shots were shown, but it was a refresher angle having to see a different side of the Hardy compound to the angles that we never got to see. AEW capitalized on that. Now people involved. We saw Santana and Ortiz from the Inner Circle. They got involved. We seen Private Party. They got involved. As far as characters of old, we saw Hurricane Helms being involved as the superhero and as the reporter. We saw David Heath, who was Gangrel in WWF. He was there. I'm like, wow, that is crazy. But Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara, they were taking it all over the place. They really were taking it all over the place. And, of course, Matt Hardy won. And, Jesus, man, I mean, that match was just like all the others. But, now we got to see that, Matt Hardy finally did an Elite Deletion match, a Hardy Compound match in AEW. Now Matt Hardy, the brand, had Hardy Compound matches in Impact, WWE, now AEW. So elements that we were seeing, obviously it's nothing new to us, but the only thing that was refreshing was just seeing those other angles of the grounds of the Hardy Compound that we didn't got to see, and that it's a refreshing look, but not the entire, cinema scope of the presentation was new. I mean, there were things that were what we've seen previously, but nonetheless, I was happy with the match. I was happy with how it was presented. Sammy Guevara, Matt Hardy, hats off to you guys. As far as, making that match another memorable one, especially for me. Omega and Hangman Adam Page, I knew that it was going to be them two at last. I kind of wanted more for Adam Page to win because that was his main goal ever since AEW got started. And once again, it felt short. And Omega was just, of course, we all know Omega once he's the cleaner, overconfident, just has, that element of presentation of what was it like for him to have, those 6, 7, 8, now, 10-star matches from like when he was in Japan. Something similar of that was presented here. And then at last, Kenny Omega is the one that stood tall and won the match. Congratulations to Kenny Omega, of course. Also, the FTR versus the Young Bucks. This was the dream match of so many fans that wanted to see this match ever since for years. in the last 4, 5, 6 years. I mean, I already lost count. And now we finally get to see it at Full Gear. But initially, I thought this should have been a match that could have happened in, a top AEW pay-per-view, like something like their version of WrestleMania or something like that. I don't even know what would be the event for that. But it got added to Full Gear, and from what they were building up segment by segment each and every week, they were trying to make Matt Jackson, try to take out one of the Bucks out of the equation. That led to where, he was dealing with serious injuries, serious issues with the injury that he was sustaining until Friday night. We got the word that Matt Jackson was cleared to wrestle and to participate in that tag team match. My goodness, that tag team match was something else. But yeah, while Matt was hurt, Dexter Harwood?
Dax Harwood.
Dax Harwood. He had an injury of his own, and it was unfortunately his right hand. So while there were injuries that we're trying to deal with, these guys, these four, showed no mercy to each other. They were just beating themselves. They were beating on each other really ugly, really fast, and they were moving a lot back and forth to where they all wanted this match to end. And at last, we finally got to see the Young Bucks become finally the AEW Tag Team Champions of the world. And congratulations to the Young Bucks. I hope to hear not devastating news from Matt Jackson as far as his issues are concerned, as far as the injuries that he's dealing with are concerned, because, the fact that these wrestlers were hurt could lead to serious consequences. We don't want that for them. But hopefully there's some news to be passed around in the next number of hours, hopefully from the sources that we follow. And hopefully there's not some really awful news. So I pray to God that there's nothing of that coming out. But, we'll find out once that happens. The match with Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley, the I Quit match. I gotta say, for as long as these guys have known each other for so long and have been almost around the world, now it led to the point where their battle was so brutal, so extreme, and in such a dragged out match. These guys were out to beat the living shit out of each other, man. It's like, what the fuck were we watching, man? Like, seriously. But at the end, hats off to both of those guys. Eddie Kingston stood out as much as he could, but with so many different objects, weapons that, that they could use on each other. And for Jon Moxley to be the man that can easily find a way to make Eddie Kingston say, I quit. Props to him. And Jon Moxley still retains the AEW World Championship. He retained the championship. He is still the champion. Now, my only concern out of every bout that I've seen, well, before that, the TNT title, that one I have to talk about too. Cody and Darby Allin. A hell of a performance, man. A hell of a performance from both of these guys. But of course, it went to the point where Cody was just, bringing out a little bit of arrogance. That's a no-no. And you're treating Darby Allin as an underdog. You don't underestimate the damn underdog. And that just brought out more of Darby Allin in him, out of himself, despite that he suffered an injury too. It was his left arm, right?
Yeah, I think it was his left arm.
That unfortunately, he ended up hurting. But one way or another, he outsmarted Cody, and he became the new All Elite Wrestling Turner Network Television champion. And now he's the face, the ace, the face of Turner Network Television. But yeah, like I said, my main concern now is I don't recall seeing a pay-per-view where you would be seeing a list or seeing a list of wrestlers already hurt. And I'm already concerned. Darby Allin got hurt. Hikaru Shida got hurt. Matt Jackson is hurt. Hardwood, Lex Hardwood,
Yes.
is hurt. Eddie Kingston and then John Moxley are hurt, but more for Eddie Kingston than John Moxley. But I'm pretty sure they're not even going to show up probably on Wednesday, at least live at the Daily Place. Hopefully in the next number of hours, from the sources that we follow, they got to bring out some type of review, a report of what's the status of these superstars that I just mentioned, because like I said, I don't recall seeing a pay-per-view where these people would be injured, or maybe it's just me because they played it out really well, but still, nonetheless, until I find out that they're all okay and they're all good and they're ready to come back, compete, and get on with the show, cool. But if not, then speedy recoveries to all of them, and hopefully it doesn't lead to anything consequential. Because me as a viewer, I always have it in the back of my mind, despite that they're performers, they're also human beings, and they're the ones who tolerate every single bit of pain, frustration, and everything that goes with that atmosphere and how they deal with it. My props to them, because they're the ones who are taking on this life of entertainment without asking for anything in return, except for showing love, support, and devotion to all of these astronomical performers. That's all that I'm concerned with. So hopefully we get some official news in the matter of hours. But that's it for us for this hour of Wrestling Weekend Recap. That's the name of the official show. We thank you very much for joining us. Please smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. I appreciate for you guys to subscribe, to like, to comment on every single video that I have posted out there involving old school wrestling and everything that I have on this channel for the Ace Man Armageddon brand. It is very, very, very appreciative of me for you guys to say thank you every step of the way. And until then, we'll see you next week for more. As far as next week is concerned, we don't know how we're going to do it, because there's going to be a personal event that's going to take place. So we're still trying to decide if we're going to do a live stream at the 10 o'clock hour, if it's going to be a little bit early. But nonetheless, for those that really have followed this program from the get-go, thank you very much. We will have the final installment. We will upload an announcement stating if we will do the episode for next Saturday or not, or if we're going to do it early. Me and Jade are still going to have that chat. But thank you very much for tuning in, and we will give you the announcement before Saturday of what's going to happen with the following week's episode of Wrestling Weekend Recap. So until then, everybody have a good night. Peace and love worldwide, and we will see you then. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great night.